Imagine flying the fastest aircraft on Earth, a rocket-powered fighter blasting through the sky at nearly 600 miles per hour. Now imagine attacking 2,000 enemy aircraft with only 7 minutes of fuel. Sounds insane, right? But on November 2, 1944, one pilot did exactly that in the legendary Messerschmitt Me 163 Komet. And what happened next turned into one of the most intense dogfights of World War II. Stay with me, because this story gets absolutely wild. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel where we break down the craziest science and technology stories in history. Today we're talking about a machine that looked like something from the future, a rocket-powered fighter plane built decades ahead of its time. But its speed came with a deadly price. It's November 2, 1944. At the Brandes airfield in Germany, Lieutenant G. Enter Andreas pushes the throttle forward. His aircraft rockets down the runway. Within seconds, he pulls back on the stick and the Me 163 Komet blasts almost straight upward. The acceleration slams him into his seat as the speed indicator climbs past 400 miles per hour. This isn't a normal fighter plane. Instead of a propeller engine, the Komet uses a rocket motor. That means insane speed. But also a huge problem, it only carries a few minutes of fuel. Andreas is joined by 15 other Komet pilots. Their mission? Defend critical fuel plants from a massive Allied bombing raid. As the Komets climb through the clouds, the G-forces push hard against the pilots. Then suddenly they break into clear blue sky. And what Andreas sees next leaves him stunned. Stretching across the horizon is a massive formation of aircraft. Nearly 2,000 Allied planes, including hundreds of B-17 Flying Fortress bombers, and escorting them, the deadly P-51 Mustang fighters. This wasn't just a raid, this was an air armada. The Komets scatter, each pilot searching for a target. Andreas glances at his friend, Oberfeldwebel Jakob Ballenrath. They both know something. This might be their last flight. Ballenrath peels away first. Then Andreas slams the throttle forward. His Komet dives toward the bomber formation. The closing speed is unbelievable. The bombers seem almost frozen in place as he rockets toward them. He only has seconds to attack. Andreas lines up his sights, then fires. Twin 30mm cannons roar. Shells slam into a B-17E's wing. But before the gunners can react, he dives under the formation and escapes. Damage done, but not enough. Below him, the bombers open their bomb bay doors. Hundreds of bombs fall toward the fuel plant. Andreas watches helplessly. He still has some fuel left, so he decides to try one more attack. The bombers begin turning for home. Some are damaged, some are trailing smoke. Perfect targets. Andreas slides underneath the formation. He idles his engine, conserving the last drops of rocket fuel. Then he pushes the throttle to maximum. The rocket explodes with power. His Komet surges forward at nearly 600 miles per hour. He pulls up sharply and attacks from below, but the ball turret gunner in the B-17 sees him coming. The turret swings. Machine guns lock onto the target. Both men fire at the same time. Bullets rip through the sky. Andreas's cannon shells hammer the bomber. But then a .50 caliber bullet punches through the Komet's canopy. Shrapnel slices across Andreas's face, and the rest of the bullet slams into the fuel tank behind him. Now here's the terrifying part. The Komet used two chemicals as rocket fuel. They were so volatile that just touching each other could cause explosions. Even worse, the chemicals could literally burn through human skin. And now those tanks are damaged. Andreas knows something. His plane could explode at any moment. As Andreas tries to escape, a new threat appears. Behind him is a P-51 Mustang flown by Captain Fred Glover. Glover sees the damaged Komet and moves in for the kill. 6 .50 caliber machine guns open fire. Bullets rip into the rocket plane. Panels tear off. Fuel tanks ignite. Flames spread along the underside of the Komet. Andreas flips the aircraft upside down and dives. The Mustang stays right behind him, even without an engine. The Komet might still escape. Why? Because its design made it incredibly fast in a dive. Andreas pushes the aircraft deeper and deeper toward the ground. Suddenly, more Komets appear through the clouds. Glover sees them and decides not to risk it. It's your lucky day, Komet. The Mustang turns away, but Andreas's problems are far from over. Inside the Komet, the fire suddenly reignites. The rocket fuel is burning again. This fire can't be extinguished. Andreas needs to bail out immediately. He unbuckles, grabs the canopy, and pushes. Nothing. The canopy is stuck. The wind is holding it shut. Smoke fills the cockpit. The heat grows unbearable. He pushes again. Still nothing. He's about to burn alive. Then Andreas realizes something. The faster he flies, the harder the wind pushes the canopy shut. So he pulls back on the stick. The comet slows down. He tries again. This time the canopy swings open. Finally, Andreas jumps. Moments later, his parachute opens in the sky. He watches his burning rocket plane spiral away. But then he sees something worse. Far below, his friend Jacob Ballenrath is still fighting. A P-51 Mustang, flown by Captain Louis Norley, has locked onto him. Bullets rip into the Komet. The rocket engine fails. The aircraft catches fire. Ballenrath tries to escape, but it's too late. The burning Komet spirals toward the ground. No parachute appears. He never makes it out. Lieutenant G. Enter Andreas survived the battle. So did the Mustang pilots Fred Glover and Louis Norley. But the story of the Me-163 Komet shows something incredible about technology. Even the fastest aircraft in the world couldn't stop the massive bomber formations of World War II. Speed alone wasn't enough. And believe it or not, some Luftwaffe pilots became so desperate to stop the B-17 Flying Fortress bombers that they tried something almost kamikaze-like. If you want to hear that unbelievable story, make sure you check out the next video on the channel, because trust me, it's absolutely insane.